everyone. Today I am here with a book review on The Great American Whatever by Tim Federle. I think that's what we were going with. This is a book that came out last year in March, and I really wanted to read it when I first saw it, and I just got around to reading it now, so I haven't seen a lot of other reviews on this book, so I figured I would contribute my own thoughts. Right off the bat, starting with some not spoiler things, this story follows Quinn, who's a 16-year-old kid. He is a closeted gay boy. His sister died in a car accident 6 months before the start of the book, so it takes place over the summer, and his sister died in December. So it's basically following Quinn trying to navigate life after his sister's death, and Quinn wants to be a screenwriter. He loves to write movies that his sister used to direct, but now that she's gone, he doesn't seem to have he's just basically in this big depression because of his sister's death. It follows Quinn trying to get back to a normal life, back up on his feet after this tragedy, mostly with the help of his friend Jeff, who is the first one who's come on, you need to get out of bed, let's go be real people. I was kind of annoyed by the voice of the main character, Quinn, it's told through his eyes, so I was kind of annoyed by his voice at the very beginning, because it was almost a little bit too self-deprecating, and there were sentences where it would just end with him laughing, so it would just say, blah blah blah, ha, and I was just this just kind of threw me off a little bit at first. I don't know, it's been a while since I've read YA books told from the male perspective. I'm not a boy, so it's kind of hard sometimes for me to be okay, I'm a teenage boy now, I'm reading from a teenage boy now. So I think that was kind of one of the things, at the beginning of this, it was very teenage boy, and I was ooh, what is this? By the halfway through, I was fine with it. So the voice was a little bit weird at the beginning, and then also another thing was that I was expecting this book to be a cutesy little, LGBTQ romance story, a little quirky one, a fun, YA, uplifting little thing, and that's not what it is. It turns out that it's more of a story about overcoming grief, and that was the main story arc that's going through, is the overcoming grief thing, and then the romance is kind of intertwined throughout, and that's kind of one of his coping mechanisms. So that was something that kind of threw me off, but looking back, I kind of like that. It's just not what I was expecting. I would definitely recommend this book if you are looking for more diverse books in your life. I did enjoy aspects of it. In the spoilery section, I'll get into more of the stuff that I didn't like as much, but yeah, overall, I would say that it was a solid book. I would recommend it, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, so not too bad, but it's just, I've been reading so many, really good books lately, that, this one was just kind of yeah, it's whatever. It just kind of doesn't stand out that much to me. It's too similar to a lot of other things that I've read already, like Muriel and the Dying Girl, because of the whole screenplay aspect of it and death aspect of it. I would recommend this book if you are interested in it, and especially if you're interested in stories about death. If you're interested in stories about death and the aftermath of an accident, then read this one. If you're looking for the cute love story, don't read this one. On to some more spoilery things. If you have not read the book, I may spoil you, so be aware. First off, his best friend, his name is Jeff, but it's spelled Geoff, so every time my brain reads it, it's saying Geoff. So every time I'm reading Jeff, I'm reading Geoff in my head. It was really annoying me, and so I don't like the spelling of that name. This book is set in Pittsburgh, which is fun for me because I am from Pennsylvania, so I know some stuff about Pittsburgh, although I've never been there. But my mom went to school in Pittsburgh. I have 2 friends who go to school at Pitt, so that was kind of fun, was reading about Pittsburgh, which is a place that I can visualize in my brain. Now into the real spoilery stuff. Amir. I thought that the first instance of them meeting with their balloons tangled, both of their balloons not being able to be let go, was really cute, and I really liked that. But then I thought that it was weird that later they're talking about how it was all just this big setup, that Jeff and his sister Carly had set him up with this guy, even though that first meeting kind of felt very organic. I know that 16 and 19, they were saying Amir was about 19, so I guess that's not really that weird of an age difference, but as someone in college, I don't think that I would date anybody in high school. There are so many different life experiences that high school people have not had in common with college people. That whole romance thing just kind of was I don't really know how I feel about this. But that's just me personally. Overall, the whole Amir Quinn thing just didn't really work for me. I don't know. there was just like some things about like the dynamic between the two of them that I just didn't feel was realistic for them to like be pursuing the romance any farther. Does that make sense? And they never really did end up in a relationship. Like at the very end they hooked up, and then Quinn's like, I guess I'm never gonna see him again, and that's okay with me. Again, I went into this book thinking that it was going to be a quirky romance, and that was not what the story was, so that little ending part kind of pissed me off. Oh, the scenes when they were at Kennywood, that was really fun. Like, I loved the whole roller coaster thing, the amusement park date, like, that was really cute. So yeah, we have all this, like, date, like, build-up stuff. They hook up, and then it's all over. And he's just like, yeah, whatever. I just didn't like their romance. I liked that when he was planning to have sex, they didn't have sex because they were just talking, but then they did anyway. I would have preferred if they just spent the night talking and then decided to have like a long distance relationship. Then maybe because they were both going to be in California, maybe things would have worked out. I didn't like that Quinn was so quick to judge Amir's writing when he like opened up to him, and then he's like, yeah, he's right, this is shit. Like, I write better than him, and maybe he should go in business. Like, that pissed me off too. So I'm glad that it didn't work out because of those things. Like, I felt like they had too many issues. The Quinn and his sister thing, I really enjoyed that. This book made me shed a single tear at the very end because Quinn had always read his screenplays to his sister. She would give him notes and everything. I just thought that it was really cute how, like, he finishes his screenplay and then he reads it to his mom, and he's like, she's looking at me as if she were watching a movie or something, but then he's like, oh no, she's watching me like she wants her son to be happy, and like that just made me shed a single tear because I was like, oh. That was really nice that he like finally did find the strength to like start to move on a little bit. So moving on to the ending, we get a wrap up on the relationship, I guess, because Quinn's just like, I'm never gonna see him again. He does finish his screenplay, so that gets wrapped up. He rips up his invitation to the LA Student Festival director screenplay thing that he was invited to, the program. Does he end up like finding a way to enter his screenplay anyway? Because he did see in Annabeth's diary that she didn't want to be a director. So I don't know if he did end up like reconsidering that. I want to know what happened with Quinn and Jeff at the end, because they left off on a pretty rocky note because Jeff had been like dating his sister in secret. I feel like there was no closure on their little argument. There was no closure on the film festival thing, which I wish there had been. And then there's no closure on the is Quinn going to go back to school thing. There was nothing on that. Like, we see like these beginnings of things are going to change, but then we don't actually like follow through with them and see if things did change. So that kind of made me sad. It's a very short book. Like, there could have been a couple more chapters like just to address some of those things. But I was glad that the Annabeth story mostly wrapped itself up. The big thing was wrapped up, so that's why I did end up giving it 3.5 stars. Instead of just like 3 or 2. While I didn't like the parts that I was expecting to like, I did like what came out of it. It was refreshing to read something about a LGBTQ plus character. Also a LGBTQ plus character who is in an interracial relationship for part of the story. Oh, the other little thing, I really like it when you get the title like in the text somewhere. A reference to the title. I forget, I think there's a term for that, but I can't think of it right now. But there is one of those in there, like, because it turns out that the Great American Whatever is in reference to how Amir wanted to write the Great Iranian American novel, and then Quinn's like, well, if I want to do the Great American Whatever, like, whatever his blank space is. That was also pretty fun. But that's all I have to say. Like this if you like it. Comment if you read this book. I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!